another. Normally, recently we've had uplifting stories, but it's something that needed to be covered, and this is about Ireland. Now, in recent years, Ireland has been confronted with scandal after scandal of what is known as the Magdalena Laundries. Institutions where, quote, fallen women, unquote, as they were called, they're known as those who had pregnancies outside of marriage and were confined in these institutions and used as forced labour. But now the spotlight has moved on to another of the mother and baby homes. And over the past 2 decades, Irish investigative journalists have uncovered a string of allegations against homes and the irregularities surrounding the adoption of thousands of Irish children to America in the 1950s and 60s. But this was going on in the 17 and 1800s with the abomination that is known as Ellis Island. For those of you not familiar, go and check it out. Awful. And the film Philomena, starring Judi Dench, good Evertonian, intensified attention on that story. In 2014, a local historian went public with a theory that almost 800 babies could be buried in a septic tank at a former mother and baby home in Tuam in Galway, Ireland. Now, there was a bit of an outcry which got dampened down very quickly, so we're going to highlight it again. That forced the government to act, but not quick enough. And they announced a full-scale investigation into 18 separate homes across the country. And this kind of backs up claims made by Kevin Annett about bodies being buried in various churches, reform schools, institutions and other places where children and mothers congregated. Now, the accusations against the homes include burying babies in unmarked and unrecorded graves, coercing women and girls to remain in the institution, poor medical care, high mortality rates for the babies, overwhelming pressure on mothers to allow babies to be adopted, where they adopted means sold, emotional and physical abuse, illicit adoption, and that babies were effectively sold to families in the US and elsewhere without proper procedures or consent, allowing medical trials, hello UN, without informed consent, and the use of dead babies in anatomical research and also falsification of records. So why did Ireland end up with a system of mother and baby homes? Well, after independence from the UK, that's a lie, that's about as relevant as the American independence in 1776, it's all a lie. The new state had to decide how to deal with people needing government assistance. And the new government was also worried about sexual morality and unmarried mothers, according to Lindsay Byrne. And the Catholic Church had an important role in providing social services for the cash-strapped Irish state. Now, officials called on religious orders at the time to set up special homes, oh my God, to deal with unmarried mothers, like they're some sort of a disease, really. And these mother and baby homes received public funds and were inspected by the state. Yeah, right. And rights groups say that up to 90,000 unmarried women and girls had their babies forcibly taken from them since independence. 90,000 since 1920. Tiny country like Ireland, population-wise anyway. And the true figure will probably never be known. That's a low-end guesstimate. And the scandal of the treatment of women like Bridget, who's covered in this story, Deirdre and Catherine, has been brewing in Ireland over the last 20 years. And yet still nothing's been done. You'll find out why shortly. But the women say their experiences have never been officially recognised by the Irish state or by the Catholic Church. And there has never been a full state apology either. No compensation has been paid. And whilst visiting Ireland, Pope Francis made a general apology for the Church's treatment of mothers and babies, and senior Irish churchmen have also made expressions of regret. But there's been no comprehensive apology and redress from the Church in Ireland. Now, all three women gave evidence to the state inquiry back in 2015 and the Mother and Baby Homes Commission of Investigation. And on the 17th of April, it reported back on just one aspect of the scandal, the burial practices, ignoring all the rest. And according to the Commission, more than 900 children died at Bessborough or at a hospital having been transferred. But the burial places of only 64 out of those 900 children are known. And the Congregation of Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Mary, oh my God, the order that ran Bessborough said it did not know where the other 800 children who died at the home were buried. Real caring, godly people then. And the Commission said that it was difficult to comprehend. And the Angels plot at Bessborough, the place Bridget was shown, only has one child buried there, the Commission says. But it's not thought to be Bridget's child, William. And the Commission thinks it's likely that at least some of the children are buried in unmarked graves in the rest of the 60-acre Bessborough site, but would not consider it feasible to excavate the whole area. At least 14 women also died at Bessborough, and their burial places are also unknown. Now, the gist of these proceedings is the evidence gathered by the inquiry cannot be used in criminal or civil proceedings, nor will former residents be guaranteed access to their own personal information. Sounds very ITNJ, that to me. This is what they do, these fake investigations, and they just whitewash it. But this is far from a one-off thing to do with nuns. There was another high-profile case of a nunnery doing the same back in Liverpool in England. They were selling off the children to Australia, packed them on a boat on their own, and off they went right round the world. Now, most of those children who were in that home were only there as part of the war evacuation for children. And these Satanists just sold those kids off. Disciples of God, they say. Evil bitches, if you ask me. Now, my own personal experience with these people was not too great either. Because my ex-wife was Catholic, she put them in Catholic schools with nuns. And one group of them was caught lying to get my son into trouble to protect something that a teacher had done wrong. Another group of nuns came to my door one day to let my ex-wife know she hadn't been to church, and then warned her if she didn't go to church, she would burn in the fires of hell. Nice people, these. I kid you not. And so many put their faith in these church people, and yet so many people have been stolen from, abused violently and sexually, disturbed for life, threatened, and worse, killed. And it's all covered up. Not just by the church or the nunnery involved, but right at the very top of the Catholic Church. And people wonder why I have no religion or believe in the church. The ignoring of these abuses, which goes through every single country, and yet still turning up to these churches and their ceremonies each week, is cognitive dissonance on an unprecedented scale. Going back to the Kim and I piece earlier, have you asked these church people for their credentials? Where is their donation money being spent? Are they pedos? Show proof of not being a pedo or a child abuser. If not, the question is why? I'll tell you why I have no religion. I'm not blinded by bullshittery. Simple as that. A proper overview of basic questions surrounding religion, given the plethora of cases like this, should set off everyone's alarm bell. Except to the brainwashed. But deep down, you all know it. It's eating away at you from the inside. And yet, because you have invested so much time and energy into it, you feel it is better to save face and continue. Well, actually, it's not. That institution, which is actually a sacrificial cult, is for people who cannot stand in their own power and sovereignty and rely on others outside of them as a crutch to lean on. Is that a harsh statement to make? To some people, yes. But I'll tell you what's harsh. The billions of people who have died and suffered on this planet in the name of religion. That's harsh. Including the country this piece was about. And it's about time to see through the illusion and stop making excuses for this heinous experiment known as religion. It's a harvesting, killing machine. It always has. By all means, pray to your God if that's what you choose to do. But please stay away from these portrayers of evil. The evidence against them is overwhelming now. It's not conspiracy anymore. It's all out in public. You don't need a church to pray. The most famous of the 26 different Jesuses told you that. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. Bye for now.